The Japanese are masters when it comes to emergency preparedness, and their time-tested food stockpiles reveal a culture built on resilience. In a country where earthquakes, tsunamis, and typhoons are as common as cherry blossoms in spring, being ready for disaster isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. From rice reserves guarded by the government to clever canned meals that taste fresh years later, Japan's approach to long-lasting food storage could completely change the way you think about your pantry. These 20 foods have stood the test of time, disaster, and even decades, designed to survive power outages, empty store shelves, and whatever nature throws their way. Let's dive right into it. You can't really call yourself Asian without rice. It's not just food. It's comfort, culture, and history in a bowl. In Japan, where earthquakes and tsunamis are as common as spring rain, rice is more than a staple. It's security. And when the ground shakes, the Japanese turn to their quiet hero, freeze-dried rice packets. You might wonder what makes this rice such a survival superstar. Think of it like this. Bacteria need water to grow, but freeze-dried rice has almost none. It's so dry that microbes take one look and say, "No thanks, we'll find somewhere else to live." It's like trying to start a campfire in a rainstorm. Not going to happen. And each pouch is sealed tight, locking out oxygen and moisture so it stays fresh for decades. The Japanese caught on to rice's superpowers generations ago. From climbers to astronauts, everyone relies on it. Lightweight, nourishing, and always ready. Pretty clever, right? While we're fussing over groceries that spoil in weeks, they're stocking up on rice that can outlast almost anything. But here's the thing. Even superheroes have kryptonite. And a freeze-dried rice's weakness is humidity. Keep it cool, sealed, and dry, and it'll stay perfect for decades. Here's a fun tip. When you rotate your stock, pour hot water over an older pack and add soy sauce. Comfort food, no emergency required. If rice can keep you alive for decades in a pouch, wait until you hear about Japan's secret for surviving the long haul. Hard biscuits in sealed cans. Forget everything you know about soft, buttery cookies. Japan's kanpan are survival legends. Dense, dry, and built to last. No fancy preservatives, no fridge, just a can of crunch that laughs in the face of time. Picture this. An earthquake hits, power's out, and supplies are thin. Instead of wilting snacks or soggy bread, you open a can of kanpan. Each biscuit is baked bone dry, sealed airtight, and waiting patiently, sometimes for years. Here's what's really smart. By removing moisture and locking out oxygen, these biscuits become nearly immortal. It's the same science that kept sailors fed on long sea voyages, just perfected with Japanese precision. The government includes kanpan in national stockpiles, and families keep them at home for emergencies. Even schools distribute them during disaster drills, crunchy reassurance in a can. There's a trick, though. They're tough, really tough. Bite carefully or dip them in tea or soup to soften. The best part? No refrigeration, no fuss, no expiration panic. Just old-school survival baked into every bite. Speaking of preserving food, while biscuits and rice are built for storage, Japan took it a step further with a little science and a lot of ingenuity, the retort-packed ready meal. People have been preserving food with salt for centuries, but Japan found a way to preserve whole meals, curry, beef stew, even pasta, all without refrigeration. And guess what? It hasn't changed its mission one bit since it was invented, to keep you fed when everything else fails. Let's get real about retort meals for a minute. While we're microwaving instant dinners, the Japanese are sealing theirs to survive earthquakes. Each pouch is filled, sealed tight, and heat sterilized under pressure. It's like putting bacteria in a sauna they can't walk out of. Here's where it gets interesting. The process locks in flavor and texture so that when you reheat it months or even years later, it still tastes freshly made. The Japanese have this down to an art. From disaster kits to space missions, these meals last longer than your New Year's resolutions. The best part? No fridge, no fuss. Just store them in a cool, dry spot and rotate them every few years. Survival has never tasted so good. You know what goes great with rice in Japan's survival game? Those canned fish sitting in your pantry, probably wondering when their time to shine will come. While freeze-dried rice keeps you full and biscuits keep you steady, canned fish and miso is over here playing the long game too. The Japanese have known this secret for generations. These little tins of mackerel or sardines simmered in salty miso can last for years and pack enough protein to keep you going when fresh food is long gone. Get this, people have found decades-old cans that were still perfectly edible. That's right, meals older than some family heirlooms were still ready to pour over rice. Makes those expired tuna cans in your cupboard seem pretty young, doesn't it? The Japanese don't mess around with storage either. They keep their cans stacked neatly in cool, dry cupboards, airtight, organized, and always within reach. No fridge needed. These flavor-packed survivors are perfectly content at room temperature. Here's where canned fish really shines though. It's the transformers of survival food. Open a can, warm it up, and bam! Instant comfort meal, no kitchen required. There's even a saying, a pantry without canned fish is like a winter without warmth. You might manage, but why would you want to? And if canned fish are the protein champs of your pantry, then their best teammate is sitting right beside them. Saigai Shoku, Japan's freeze-dried emergency meals. These are the food world's quiet heroes, humble, reliable, and ready for anything Mother Nature throws your way. Why? Because Saigai Shoku is basically the superhero version of dinner. It just won't quit. Here's something wild. Properly sealed, some of these meals can sit on a shelf for 25 years. That's right. Your disaster curry might outlive your coffee machine and still taste like comfort. While we're all checking expiration dates on fancy takeout leftovers, Saigai Shoku is just sitting there in its pouch, laughing at the concept of time. The Japanese keep it simple with storage. Sealed packs, cool spot, no moisture allowed. They don't need any of those fancy vacuum-sealed tubs or bulky gear, just a dry shelf and an airtight pouch. What makes Saigai Shoku the ultimate survivor? It's all about being practical in the best way. No oils to spoil, no moisture to mold, just balanced, preserved meals living their best life. The Japanese use them like a culinary Swiss Army knife. One day it's curry, the next it's rice porridge or noodles, always ready to turn any crisis into comfort. Here's the deal with canned stewed meat. It's like the immortal warrior of Japan's pantry, except it doesn't need guarding and actually tastes better with time. The Japanese have been stocking this stuff for decades, knowing it'll last longer than most kitchen gadgets and still open up tender and rich. And get this, during Japan's early disaster preparedness era, canned beef and pork were so prized that people used them like currency in trade or aid. Imagine paying your rent with a can of beef stew. Sorry, landlord, how about this Yoshinoya gyudon instead? The Japanese don't just keep canned meat for emergencies, though. It's their secret weapon for turning survival into comfort. Got leftover rice? Add meat. Need protein fast? Crack a can. It's like having a culinary bodyguard that also cooks for you. Talk about a win-win. But here's where it gets really interesting. Canned meat doesn't just last, it preserves itself. As long as it stays sealed, it stays safe, tender, and flavorful. No fridge, no freezer, no problem. Just keep your cans cool and dry, and they'll outlive your air fryer. Now, if canned meat's the protein king, wait until you hear about its ancient wet companion. These humble little pouches are like time capsules of comfort, packed and sealed, waiting years for the day you'll need them most. Try getting that kind of readiness from your instant ramen cups. The Japanese look at pouch soups the way most of us look at our phones. Can't imagine life without them. And for good reason. These liquid lifesavers are basically entire meals distilled into a single pouch. They're the original, ready-to-eat comfort before convenience food became trendy. Here's what makes pouch soups the ultimate survival food. They're like the Russian nesting dolls of nourishment. Tear one open and you'll find layers of goodness. Umami broth, tofu, miso, vegetables, and protein, all locked inside a package that can outlast your pantry upgrades. But storing them isn't just toss and forget. Think of them as the divas of Japan's rations. They like it cool, dark, and dry. Heat and sunlight? Big no. The Japanese have this storage thing down to an art. Lined shelves, controlled temperature, airtight seals, sometimes even rotation schedules. It's like a spa retreat for soup. And here's the kicker. When stored properly, these pouches can stay safe and tasty for over a decade. But what's a soothing bowl of soup without something soft and sweet to finish it off? That's where this food comes in next. The soft sensation that's been keeping spirits high since before convenience stores were even a dream. Preserved mochi, or as the Japanese see it, their edible symbol of resilience. While other sweets are out there playing second fiddle, mochi is the rock star of longevity foods. It doesn't just fill bellies, it carries centuries of meaning and comfort. The Japanese don't just keep a preserved mochi because they like the chewy texture, though that satisfying bite is pretty awesome. They stock it because it's practically immortal. Think about it. It's pounded, dried, and sealed tight, which means it basically came pre-preserved on purpose. It's like the Benjamin Button of traditional desserts. It stays soft and satisfying long after others crumble away. You know those comfort food cliches that promise to fix everything from bad moods to bad days? Well, mochi might not fix your luck, but the Japanese turn to it for almost everything else. Need energy during emergencies? Mochi's got your back. Feeling low? A sweet red bean-filled piece will warm your heart faster than any pep talk. Here's the really wild part. Preserved mochi is like that friend who never lets you down. Store it cool and dry and it'll stay perfect for years. No fridge, no fuss. But if mochi is comfort made chewy, then this next one on the list is a comfort made eternal, a sweet jellied classic. While most desserts melt, crumble, or spoil, Yokan seems to laugh in the face of time. It's Japan's answer to eternal sweetness, a red bean jelly that tastes like nostalgia and survival all at once. You might be thinking, it's just a dessert, what's the big deal? But in an emergency kit, Yokan is as precious as gold. In a Japanese pantry, these firm, glossy bars are like edible time capsules of comfort, ready to lift spirits when things get tough. Here's what makes it brilliant. It's packed with natural sugar, sealed tight, and low in moisture, which means bacteria don't stand a chance. That's why Yokan can sit on a shelf for years and still taste like it was made yesterday. When modern brands like Umuraya or Izumeshi can it, they're not just preserving dessert, they're preserving calm. In a world where power and refrigeration can disappear overnight, this little block of sweet endurance stands strong. The Japanese tuck Yokan into disaster kits, hiking packs, even Antarctic research rations, because one bite can remind you what home tastes like. And after all that sweetness, Japan turns to something sharp, salty, and fierce. Speaking of survival staples, let's talk about something the Japanese have mastered, turning humble plums into a tangy powerhouse that can last practically forever. You might think umeboshi is just that wrinkled red thing in your rice ball, but in a Japanese kitchen, it's the MVP of long-lasting foods. While others chase freeze-dried trends, Japan's been perfecting this ancient art since the samurai era, and it still works like magic. Get this, properly salted umeboshi can last decades. The pickled plums in your grandmother's pantry might be older than your car and still ready to wake up your taste buds. While other foods wilt or mold, umeboshi just gets stronger with time. It's like the Betty White of Japanese condiments. Age only makes it better. The secret to its immortality? Salt and patience. Plums are packed with coarse salt and red shiso leaves, then left to ferment until they become that sharp, mouth-puckering delight Japan swears by. Stored cool, dry, and dark, these sour gems never quit. Whether tucked in a bento or eaten for stamina, umeboshi proves that sourness can save spirits when the world goes quiet. If tsukudani is the ocean's heart, then furikake is its laughter. Bright, crunchy, and impossible to get tired of. Furikake isn't just a rice topping, it's edible confetti with a purpose. Born in post-war Japan to fight malnutrition, this mix of dried fish, sesame seeds, seaweed, and salt was designed to last forever, and it practically does. Here's why it endures. Every ingredient is bone dry, roasted, and seasoned to perfection. No moisture means no mold. Kept in a sealed jar, furikake will stay fresh for years, always ready to turn plain rice into a meal worth celebrating. The Japanese stockpile it not just for flavor but morale. One sprinkle brings familiarity and comfort even in the darkest times. In an emergency shelter, a bowl of rice topped with furikake tastes like home. It's lightweight, compact, and so packed with umami that a little goes a long way. And because it's dry, it asks for nothing but a cool, airtight home. But sometimes, instead of sprinkling the sea, the Japanese eat it whole, in its purest, most ancient form. Some foods are born survivors, and dried seaweed might be the ultimate. Crisp, paper-thin, and deceptively simple, nori has been Japan's edible armor for centuries, wrapping rice balls, seasoning soups, and fortifying spirits in times of crisis. Here's the secret. Once seaweed is pressed and roasted, it becomes nearly indestructible. Low moisture and high minerals mean bacteria don't stand a chance. Properly sealed, dried seaweed can last years without losing flavor or nutrition, and even longer if vacuum-packed. It's feather-light, nutrient-dense, and packed with iodine, iron, and fiber. Everything your body craves when supplies run thin. During disasters, families reach for nori sheets as quick snacks, emergency wraps, or instant broth boosters. The Japanese keep stacks of it sealed in airtight tins or foil packs away from humidity, its only enemy. One bite, and you're tasting centuries of ingenuity, survival disguised as simplicity. But the ocean's bounty doesn't end there. From the humble sheet to the salty bite, next comes something small, silver, and sun-dried. If the sea had a way to whisper forever, it would sound like himono, Japan's sun-dried fish tradition that turns fragility into strength. Long before refrigeration, fishermen learned to coat fresh catches in salt and let the sun do the rest. The result? Himono. Small fish, like sardines, horse mackerel, or squid, dried until they become flavor bombs that refuse to spoil. Here's the magic. The salt pulls out moisture, while sunlight locks in umami. The fish become concentrated, chewy, and nearly immortal when stored right. In ancient fishing villages, these were life insurance against storms and bad seasons. Even today, you'll find himono in emergency kits, backpacker meals, and even astronaut menus, a testament to Japan's mastery of natural preservation. Stored cool and sealed from air, himono can last months or more, reviving perfectly once grilled or rehydrated. Each bite tells a story of patience and sunlight, proof that nature, when guided by tradition, can make food that outlives time itself. And when Japan turns from sea to mountain, it finds another guardian of flavor and endurance, where time, salt, and care create a preservation art just as enduring as the oceans. If the ocean has its himono, the mountains have their salted hams, a quiet masterpiece of patience, salt, and time. Japan might be known for fish, but up in cooler regions like Gunma or Kagoshima, people have long practiced the ancient art of curing pork. The process is simple yet sacred. Thick cuts of meat rubbed with salt, sometimes sake or miso for extra flavor, then hung in the breeze until the flesh firms, darkens, and transforms. You could say salted ham is what happens when nature and discipline shake hands. Salt pulls out the moisture, the air does the rest, and what's left is pure, concentrated flavor, a protein time capsule that refuses to rot. In the days before refrigeration, this was mountain gold. Protein that could last through harsh winters or supply soldiers on long journeys. Even now, you'll find these hams in emergency stores and rural kitchens alike, proof that preservation isn't just survival, it's craftsmanship. Keep it cool, dry, and sealed, and salted ham will stay delicious for years. And when Japan has had its fill of mountain smoke and salt-cured strength, it turns back to something humbler, smaller, yet every bit as enduring. In the Japanese pantry, beans aren't just food, they're lifelines. Azuki, soy, kuramame. These humble little legumes have been keeping Japan fed for centuries. They're small, light, and packed with more staying power than most pantry staples. Properly dried and sealed, beans can last decades. Some archaeologists even found ancient beans that could still sprout. That's not just shelf-stable, that's time-defying. Japan's farmers understood this magic early on. They'd sun-dry their harvests, pour them into clay jars or wooden boxes, and stash them away for lean times. Come famine or flood, those jars meant survival. Once soaked and cooked, beans come back to life like nothing ever happened. Soft, nourishing, and full of protein. Soybeans become miso, tofu, or soy sauce. Red beans become the sweet soul of Yokan and mochi. Even black beans, glossy and rich, appear in New Year's dishes, symbolizing good fortune and health. They're versatile, strong, and quietly heroic, just like the people who rely on them. And after the beans have done their part, Japan turns to the real foundation beneath it all, the mineral that makes preservation possible. If Japan's emergency stockpile had a cornerstone, it would be salt, simple, ancient, and absolutely unstoppable. From the crystalline sea salt of Okinawa to the gray, mineral-rich salt of Setouchi, Japan has spent centuries refining the art of this humble mineral. Salt isn't just seasoning here, it's preservation, purification, and even protection. It works like a force field. Draw out the water, and bacteria pack their bags. That's why it's been trusted to keep fish, vegetables, and meats safe long before refrigerators were even imagined. In Japanese culture, salt guards the home too. You'll see little piles of it at doorways or corners of sumo rings, keeping away bad luck as faithfully as it keeps out spoilage. And while everything else in your pantry comes with a best-by date, salt doesn't care. Stored dry in a glass jar or ceramic crock, it will last longer than any gadget you own. No refrigeration, no special treatment, just a cool, dry corner and a little respect. It's eternal, elemental, and utterly dependable. And after the salt comes sweetness, because even in disaster, Japan knows that morale is part of survival. That's where sugar steps in. If salt is the soldier guarding Japan's food supply, sugar is its diplomat, preserving, comforting, and sweetening even the hardest days. Sugar may seem like a luxury, but in Japan's disaster stockpile, it's a necessity. Why? Because sugar doesn't just make life sweeter, it helps food live longer. It's a natural preservative that locks out moisture and bacteria just like salt does, but with a friendlier face. Sugar has been used for centuries to candy fruits, preserve chestnuts, and create syrups that last for decades. In emergency rations, it's essential. A fast energy source that doesn't spoil, and a morale booster when the world feels uncertain. The trick is simple. Keep it dry. Once moisture sneaks in, sugar clumps up like wet sand, but sealed tight in glass or plastic, it can stay perfect forever. Even after years, a scoop of sugar tastes exactly the same. No expiration date needed. And that's the beauty of it. A comfort that never fades. A sweetness that doesn't depend on power or refrigeration. But when sweetness runs out, Japan reaches for flavor. Those instant powdered seasonings that can turn plain rice into a warm meal in minutes. In Japan, flavor isn't an afterthought. It's the soul of every meal. And when disaster strikes, powdered seasonings make sure that soul survives. Think powdered soy sauce, miso soup granules, curry cubes, or dashi flakes, tiny dehydrated bursts of umami engineered to last for years. No moisture, no spoilage, just pure essence waiting to come back to life with a splash of hot water. These packets are more than convenience. They're morale in powdered form. After an earthquake or blackout, a warm bowl of miso soup can taste like hope itself. Powdered seasonings are lightweight, space-saving, and nearly immortal if sealed properly. The science is simple. Take away the water, and bacteria can't throw a party. Store them in foil or glass, away from heat and humidity, and they'll hold their flavor for ages. Japan's emergency kits often include these packets alongside rice and instant noodles. Not because they're fancy, but because they make survival feel human. And when the soups are gone and energy runs low, Japan opens its last line of defense. Dense, durable bars built to keep you going when everything else stops. Dense, compact, and nearly indestructible, these bars combine grains, sugar, and fat into slow-burning energy bricks that can last 5, 10, or even 25 years. Developed after major earthquakes and refined by companies like CaloriMate and Izumeshi, they're designed to withstand heat, humidity, and neglect, because emergencies don't wait for fresh groceries. Sealed airtight in aluminum packs, they stay edible long after most snacks have turned to dust. One bar can keep a person going for hours. A few can carry a family through days. They may not win culinary awards, but in the dark days after disaster, these humble blocks of energy represent hope, planning, and endurance. Japan's centuries-old wisdom meets modern science here, proving once again that the best way to prepare for the future is to learn from the past.